Get to know all your favorite VRChat DJs all in one place. This is VRCDJLIVE.
Well, welcome back to yet another amazing episode of VRCDJLIVE. I'm your host, Rob Roman, and glad to have you back on a nice chilly Thursday. I know a lot of people, we've been complaining a little bit about the weather and been totally okay with that, but you know what? Just as it gets colder, that means that we have to continuously move about, talk about all the latest, greatest things that we got going on here in VRChat with some of the latest, greatest DJs, performers, dancers, club owners, security, you name it. Well, world creators. World creators is just as important too. If you name it, we're going to sit here and we're going to be chatting about it on the show. And of course, it is live. It's in the name, VRCDJLIVE, so feel free that those people that are in our chat today to ask all of the questions that you choose to throughout the program. So without any further ado, we definitely have to sit here and introduce a kind of a key component since even this past year here on VRCDJLIVE, performing genres such as rhythm and tear out, performing on the Project Schism stage this past year, and one of the creators of the Overheard Podcast found up on YouTube. Please welcome to the VRCDJLIVE studios, Matty Rage.
Let's go. What's up, Rob? How you been, buddy?
You know, we were just saying how cold it is, and for me, I can't complain. Obviously, being in Florida with the colder temperatures,
Right.
But we were just kind of talking a little bit back and forth, being like, "Well, I have three blankets on my bed today, and I am wearing wool socks today." And I know, again, I think the best way we can combat the cold, in my opinion, especially from someone that's come from New England, you know, it's just to continuously bicker about it and complain a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, fellow Canadian, well, not fellow Canadian, but Canadian, tell us about how you kind of get through the winters, especially during this whole cold season.
Oh, man, you just either kind of bundle up and stay inside, or you go out, do winter sports. I mean, ice fishing is always good. But yeah, man, it's I kind of live in a ski resort town, so it's mostly like just go out, ski and snowboard. If you're ripping 100 miles an hour on a board, you get warmed up pretty quick, but I don't know. It gets cold enough at some points you don't even brave it. You just stay inside. You're like, that's enough. Like minus 50, you're not going outside for anything.
I mean, I used to live in Vermont for a little bit, and of course, it just seemed like something that everyone is prone to do is go to the ski lodge during the weekend. But is that something that you do some snowboarding, ski? You can invent it, I'm sure.
Oh no. Yeah, I used to. I did about 10 seasons out here, but I injured my knee slightly a couple years ago, so I've just been kind of taking it easy. I'm old, man. I don't need to be ripping down the slopes that fast anymore. So I've just been taking it easy the last couple years, just working on other hobbies, other stuff going on. So yeah, I got out, did a little skateboarding this summer. I try to do that once in a while, go to the park and push around, but yeah, I'm old and it takes a long time to come back, so I try not to get hurt.
You know, it's fun to fun to run into people that do those types of sports. I know a lot of the DJs in VRChat also do some skateboarding as well. Right. So nice. Do you do it frequently? I mean, you obviously keep going back to that you're old, but I mean, I would assume that you would go out there occasionally on the weekends and kind of do some tricks.
I go push around, and even in the summer, I'll just skate to work instead of bike. It's just a nice way to go. Like, keep my legs, you know what I mean? Because if you don't skate for a few years, you just kind of lose your balance, you lose your grip, but it comes back quick. It's like riding a bike,
except on the skateboard, I would assume.
Except it's like riding a skateboard, I guess.
Yeah. Well, definitely glad to have you here on the program. I know we had to wait a little bit of time as we continuously push out more and more content and get some more guests up on the show, but we're really glad to have you here for this episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Rob.
And of course, for those people in chat, as I've just said, you know, this is a live broadcast, so at any point in time you want to ask Matty some questions about DJing and all the other wonderful topics we got going on, it is a 2-hour program, so I would say sit back and relax and drink your cup of coffee like we all are. But kind of getting a little bit into the program, 2024 was a definitive time for you too, coming into VRChat, doing a lot of DJing. Obviously, we were just talking about Schism just a few moments ago. You know, kind of take us back to the year and what it meant for you and all the things that you had accomplished in 2024.
Well, I started DJing technically, I guess it would have been a year and about a half ago. So it would have been about the July before that. And I don't know, I just kind of got into the club scene and realized that people were actually DJing, and then got into it. And it took off like way quicker than I thought. Like within the first, I'd say 3 months, me and DJ CJ probably did a few hundred shows between the two of us. Just, we were doing 2 a night, 3 a night. It was just crazy. So I kind of took a step back. I did that for a few months, and then I kind of took a step back at the end of, I guess that would have been right at the end of 2023. I took kind of a step back and kind of figured out what I wanted to do in the DJ scene. Like, it's fun to go play 2-3 shows a night, but after a while you just get burnt out. And yeah, I said, I want to play Schism this year. Like, I know CJ was hyping it up. I love their events, and like, I like what they do. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do this year. And so I kind of just started hand picking sets instead of taking everything. I was like, well, that doesn't really fit my vibe. I'm just going to, sorry, man, politely decline. But yeah, I kind of started just pushing for it. And then just through networking and whatnot, and kind of knowing a few people, I got to know the Schism guys and got in there. And yeah, it was crazy. For the rest of the year, I got booked, I think, in March, and it wasn't until September that I ended up playing. So for the whole rest of that summer, I was kind of just prepping and getting ready for it, and kind of, like I said, taking key shows instead of just blanketing everybody with, my old name, by the way, which was Omen 666. We got chatting and totally forgot to talk about it. But yeah, no, man, it was a good year. It actually ended up ending with a bang. I got to DJ here, the town I live in, live for about, I'd say 3,000 or 4,000 people for the New Year's celebrations, right up until the countdown. So yeah, man, 2024 was a good one to me as far as DJing goes. I don't know how I'm going to top that one this year unless I play a festival somewhere. So yeah, it was a banger.
It's also really kind of bold action, and it's really nice to be able to take some time away from everything that's kind of busy in your life, reflect on yourself a bit. You did acknowledge the fact that even getting into the scene, I mean, and again, there's bold action because there's a lot of people in VRChat that not necessarily they come in here thinking that they're just going to do everything beyond their power to get exactly what they're looking for, either out of the program or through fame and stuff like that. So those bold actions of you saying, you know what, maybe I could take a step back, reflect on this, get a better understanding and my better footing on what's going on here in the scene. Obviously led you to much greater success in that year. But even more of the fact is we were just discussing about Omen 666 and how you were looking to retire that moniker, but also it's a piece of your life that you can't really get rid of. That's something that you should be reflecting on. And I wanted to kind of jump into it really quickly, especially because of the fact that yes, Matty Rage is going to be one of the new highlight things going into 2025. Talk to us a little bit. And the reason why I'm starting with this is because I'm always very interested on how people got their names and how they get their DJ names, but the fact of it being Omen 666 is in the name, has some sort of like aggression to it. So kind of take us down that rabbit hole of how you even began DJing with that moniker, leading up to Matty Rage, and then what your hopes are for Matty Rage.
Well, the whole deal with Omen 666 was just when I started VRChat, I wanted to have the name Omen. It was taken, so I just put 666 because I'm a metalhead. You know what it is. I'm trying to be 15 again. Anyways, just a midlife crisis. But no, that was the only reason. I wanted Omen. It was taken, so I put 666, exclamation mark, let me have it. Bingo bango. So then when I started DJing, I was just like, well, I'm going to have to make that kind of into a brand. So I just kind of leaned into it. I'm sure you guys remember like the old metal logo that I used to have. And at that time when I was like in the early days when I first started DJing, it was pretty much all I was playing was like heavier dubstep, like metal remixes, like just heavier stuff. So it kind of worked out well. And then, when I was rebranding Matty Rage is kind of my real life nickname. So I just said, screw it, man. It's going to be my real life DJ tag. So I just said, I'm just going to make it all one. We're not going to do the 2 YouTubes, 2 Instagrams, 2 SoundClouds, 2 everything. I just kind of said, screw it. VRChat is what it is. At that point, I was established enough. I'm like, if I keep the same avatar, I change the logo and just put, it's Omen. I'm rebranding in my name. That would be enough in it. It seems to have worked. So, yeah, that's kind of how that whole shebang went. But
you find that switching up the names has also kind of made you rethink about some of the things that you were hoping to perform, whether it was a time of Omen 666 compared to Matty Rage now, or do you find that you're going to be kind of playing with the same styles, or do you just kind of feed off that energy from your audience that comes to see some of your shows?
I think it was just more like Matty Rage is just like, think about it in real life. If you're approaching a club and be like, hey man, I'd love to play here sometime. Like, I've been coming here for a while. Love the vibe, love the scene. And they're like, yeah, sure. Like, what's your DJ name? You got some stuff I can check out? And you're just like, yeah, it's Omen 666 exclamation mark. And they're like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? So, I figured Matty Rage was a little more approachable. And in that way, it doesn't really have any fixed kind of like, oh, this guy, look at his logo, like it's just going to be destruction. Like, we're not going to have this fucking guy at our club. You know what I mean? So I just try to make it a little more approachable as far as like my overall branding, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah. And, even in the new year, like finding that new branding, learning what you can do with it and being a little,
right.
You could always be presentable having 666 in your name, but that's also kind of shortening down the specific demographic of what you're trying to showcase here. Yeah.
And I didn't want to limit myself. Like in real life, it's a totally different scene in real life. You know what I mean? You can't just rock into a club and like see 5 hours of just like tear out. No one's going to go to that. You know what I mean? So you got to kind of cater to your crowd. As you were asking, yes, you do really have to cater to your crowd. And I think that me, just even with the amount of shows I've played in real life so far, is like changed a little bit how I play in VRChat. Like I'm more reading the room and trying to get people on the dance floor whereas before I was just like, whatever, I can play whatever I want. It's practice for me. People are going to stand around and talk and get wasted anyway.
I think a lot of people are more worried about your hand trick there with the knife there.
Oh, my toggle. Yeah. Oh God, it's my Halloween toggle.
It's like I'm like, I understand that like it's a virtual space, but I'm like watching that knife go back, and you're like getting close to your chest, and I'm just like, are you okay, bro? The rage part of Matty Rage, okay. And he's just wielding the knife everywhere.
It's good. So the avatar has a Halloween. I got it on Halloween. It's got like the Scream outfit, and that's part of it. So, I'm sorry, Rob. Just whipping a knife out on you. It's like I don't think I've ever had anybody on my podcast pull a knife. I was gonna say, sorry about that.
One of those types of shows where it's just like I got to be careful of my questioning, because you never know, he's just gonna spawn his hands out with a knife in his hand. But
oh my God, that's awesome.
That's okay. Yeah, I would make sure you keep yourself in check though. But kind of going a little bit back and forth, and like again, understanding that the original DJ name that you had in VRChat. I'm always very interested, because I mean, for Rob Roman's voice, that was a little bit different. Rob Roman's my name, right. And I've already kind of went down that path of like trying to figure out a DJ moniker, or even asking about having a pseudonym in VRChat, because of you want to have a different reality compared to the ones that you're in right now. So I can understand all of that, but like when it comes to those types of DJ names and people that are coming into VRChat, have you been exposed to some other types of DJs that have kind of come across similar names without actually outing them, comparable to some of the music or the type of music that they are trying to perform?
Geez, off the top of my head, I don't know. Not really. I mean, the DJ name gambit runs wide. You know how it goes. And I feel like I said, there's like my name initially was just because that was what my username was. And I think that there's two kinds of DJs. I think there's DJs that got into VRChat, and well, even CJ, he had a different username before he DJ'd, and he just made a new one, and people still call him by his old name. Like, I'll hear it from like a couple of his really old buddies. They'll just call him. I'm not sure if you've heard it before, but yeah, it's funny. And now I'm just used to it. But before I was like, who are they talking to? And they're like, man, CJ right here. I'm like, why are you calling him that? They're like, that's his. Oh, sorry. That's his old name. I was like, oh, okay. And I always forget that he changed his name too. So, and then he was the one that conned me into changing my name, by the way. DJ CJ, if you're listening, son of a bitch. He conned me into doing it one night. He's just like, dude, just change it now. Just get it done. Get it over with. I was like, all right. And then for the rest of the night, everybody was like, dude, what is happening right now? It was wild.
I mean, I know we're going to be talking a lot about what you've done so far as Matty Rage, but being able to do that transition since you were back Omen and VRChat, how's that change been kind of going for you? I mean, obviously, some people are still having a hard time keeping up with either the name change or maybe just the rebranding part of it.
It goes both ways. I have homies that are straight up like, I'm not going to call you anything other than Omen, and people still do, and I'm like, yeah. Like, what? So it works, but no, it's either people just got on board with it or they just still call me Omen. I mean, I still have people coming up to me saying like, dude, you remind me so much of this DJ I used to see name Omen 666. I'm like, dude, look at, because I used to have it usually have it in my status. It's Omen, I'm rebranding. So I get it a lot where people are just like, oh yeah, man, right. And now people are starting to even forget. Like, they're like, what was your old name? It's like Omen 666. They're like, yeah, oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, people are pretty respectful anyways. It's like the DJ scene here is pretty respectful as far as pretty much everything goes. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to really run into too much shit. So yeah, it's been pretty smooth process.
I know you've done some IRL events too, which we'll get to in a moment, but how's that kind of give and take for you as far as presenting the brand yourself? Are they kind of questioning what type of rage you bring, or are you more Matty than Rage? Are you more, I
don't know. I think people are down with it. I've only heard good things. They're like, dude, that's such a good DJ name. Like it's awesome. Like, or just, I don't know. I mean, no one's really going to say anything to your face anyways. No one's going to be like, nice DJ name, bro. Like, unless you show up with some like numbers and letters and an underscore and an asterisk. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like,
cryptic. You'd be going for cryptic.
Yeah. It's been good though. People seem to like it. So.
See, like when it comes to those types of names, it does remind me a little bit about when you have someone who's just starting to stream and they're trying to look for their particular their niche, the thing that is going to be the most representable about them that people are going to try to remember. And one of those things that always leads into that conversation is the crazy card. Like, I'm going crazy, I'm mental, I'm blah, 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 blah. So I can only, like, when I hear Matty Rage, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, there's going to be a moment in time where you're going to go, like, I'm raging, like you get to like the climax of your set and you're just like, all right, we're raging. Like, and then, and I just hope that it's not that type of a gimmick. I hope that you can bring that energy all the time without you going, well, I shouldn't be showboating too much or being, it's like, oh, it's kind of like the Hulk. He's raging,
Well, my real life Matty Rage nickname just came from playing in metal bands and just like, I'm pretty active, I guess, on stage. Like, if you've ever seen me DJ, like my glutes hurt today from DJing yesterday is basically how it goes. So like, if you're not jumping around and having fun, and I don't know, I like to perform, right? So for me, if I'm having a good time, I want to dance around and jump around behind the decks and throw down, and you know what I mean? So I feel like that goes a long way with the crowd too. Like, if they see you having fun, people are more liable to come up and have fun with you, right? They're not going to, if you're standing there and look like you're having a horrible time behind the DJ decks, like, why would anybody want to come up and dance? You know what I mean? It just, like, no matter how good the tunes are, that only goes so far, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's just, that's kind of where I guess the rage comes from. I'm always just kind of bouncing around and bopping and doing
But
something.
I mean, that's always a good way of looking at it too, because I know for a fact, 100% of a fact, that the DJs that not only perform in here, but all over the gambit, like there's not enough DJ exercises or understanding DJ exercises besides calling yourself DJ exercises. But or stretching.
Oh, that's a good.
I mean,
actually.
listen.
If I ever rebrand again, can I take DJ exercises?
I mean, if you're cool? Like a fitness guru, I guess, and you're just like, if you're doing the thing where they're just like, well, you could play video games and DJ, you know, just like as. Like, I know a lot of people in my community, they try to get me to do that. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you could be a yoga instructor or your Taibo instructor, cardio, and you're spinning at the same time.
It's actually funny though. I played a set of open decks. Was that 2 weeks ago now? I guess IRL event. I guess I have to distinguish now. It's weird with my real life friends. I have to distinguish between VR and real life now, and also whereas before they're just like, oh, Matty's DJing. It's in VR. Whereas now I'm like, oh no, it's a real life show tonight. They're like, oh shit, nice. And now same thing in VR. I'm like, yeah, I'm DJing tonight. They're like, oh, where? I want to go. I'm like, well, it's real life. You can't. So.
I mean, unless you live close by, of course, sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But yeah, that's just kind of how it goes, man.
But I mean, that's also another kind of a hardy topic that we should be discussing within our community anyway, too, especially because of the fact that, you know, once you're done doing a set, either in virtual reality or IRL, right, you're tired. You need to hydrate. You need to grab a snack. You have to go to the bathroom.
You need a
stuff.
second.
Yeah. But there should be, I feel like we have to kind of reach out to our exercise friends in virtual reality anyway, because I feel like they could put together a little bit of a plan that we should be, maybe we should have someone on the show next time and be able to show us what are some really good ideas for bopping up and down.
No doubt. Yeah. And I think, I don't know. It's weird for me because to be honest, I was not into EDM up until about a year and a half ago, like at all. Like I could not name you an artist. Was not into DJing, like just thought the DJs were just hit and play. You know what I mean? Like I was that kind of like snobby metalhead dude that was just like, I'm not listening to that shit. You know what I mean? Like, no. So it's weird I don't know. It's still kind of weird for me now to like, because I'm not in any bands right now and I'm just doing this. It's just kind of weird for me now, like how much I'm enjoying this and like how much sooner I wish I had started doing it. Like I should have started doing this when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. Like I would have been, who knows by now, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's weird. It's just still weird to me. It's just still crazy, like the success and like how far I've taken this.
I know it's kind of changing of the seasons a little bit. Cause obviously, you know, for me back in college, I was a metalhead myself. You could be saying my favorite band, System of a Down, and I really wish that they would come back at the same time. You know, whatever. But yeah, changing the seasons and getting into that and understanding that, especially in our scene, because of the fact that we keep referring it to as the boom of 2022. That's when a lot of people came in, started to test the waters of DJing in virtual reality. We do have a question based upon the programs and the gear that you use. What I would like to do first before we answer that question is kind of get into a little bit of the origins of Matty Rage, or even the origins of Omen 666 as we lead into that answer. Take us back to like the first couple of days of VRChat for you. What were some of the avatars you wore? How did you even find your tribe?
Oh my God. So I went through this pretty shitty breakup. This would have been 2022, I think. Yeah, like the spring, like real early, like early 2022. And I was just sitting on the couch being a loser, drinking beer, watching YouTube, got in a YouTube hole on, it was something about VRChat. It was actually one of Fia's videos. Shout out Fia. And I remember at the end of it, she was like, yeah, and like, you don't need a VR headset to play this game. You can just log in on PC. So I was like, all right, got off the couch, went over to the PC, logged in, created an account. And yeah, I did PC only, like desktop VR for about maybe a month, and started meeting some cool people, and obviously wanted to be in VR, so ordered my Quest 2 and that came in a couple of weeks later, and yeah, I did, I think, about 5,000 hours on that headset. Shout out, Meta, if you want to sponsor my podcast. Shout out, yeah, that headset lasted forever, but it's still going, by the way. Yeah, it was just cool, man. Like I got in, I met just some random people, and then for me, like I started meeting like Canadians and just other homies from the areas, and I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with it. And I did Quest standalone for probably close to, yeah, it was almost a year, because I got the Shadow PC that I use for VR for my birthday about a year after that. And then didn't really get into the club scene. Well, I guess I would have been pretty quick after that. Like once I got PC VR, I remember seeing videos on the club scene, just on YouTube and whatever, like the old, like, what clubs to check out in VR. So I was like, I'm just going to go check it out. I walked in there, and the first club I walked into, part of me, was Club Orion, because I remember seeing it on one of the YouTube videos. I walked in Orion, and it was the gnarliest, like, tear out metal step, like, that you have ever heard. I walk in there, and it's Mikey the Maniac behind the decks, tiny little Mikey. She's like the tiniest little cute, soft-spoken girl you could ever meet. And she's just ripping the hardest metal. I'm like, holy, you can play this here? So, and that was pretty much the end of it.
So you kind of just just stumbled upon that. You just found out about it and just kind of went in there, and that's what you saw?
Well, yeah, because Mikey was behind the decks just throwing down, like, in full body. I'm like, is this person actually DJing this? And they're like, yeah, dude. I'm like on a set of decks? They're like, yeah. I was like, oh, no. If this is the kind of music that you can play in VRChat and get away with, I'm buying a set of DJ decks. But the gear is a whole nother story. I'll take you down the gear road on another story. But no, that's how I literally stumbled upon it at Orion and said I want to do it.
Well, seeing that we're already kind of talking a little bit about the gear, and obviously from the question that we have from the chat, what kind of gear did you start with? Are you still kind of rocking the same gear that you started with, or have you kind of also? Oh no, okay, so it's gotten a little bit more professional. No. But yeah, tell us about how you, because again, you were saying how you were switching kind of genres and how you were performing and what you could find in VRChat compared to what you were obviously kind of looking for, but you ran into,
right,
compared to some of the first instances of DJing up until where you are now.
Well, initially when I started, I didn't want it, like everybody else, you don't want to spend a buttload of money on gear that you're not going to use, right? So me having a whole whack load of guitar and studio gear already, I just didn't want to have another piece of gear sit around that I'm not using. Because I have the gear, I have a gear acquisition syndrome, which is where you just buy gear to have the gear, but not to use the gear. But it's called gear acquisition syndrome.
Yeah, I have never heard of that. But I feel like in my brain, I'm just like, well, having another thing just as a backup would be good. But
see what I'm saying? Oh, you got it too, man. You got it too. But no, initially, so I had a little 25. Actually, it's sitting right back there. It's a little 25 keyboard, or 25 key MIDI keyboard, and on the end of it, it's got 8 MIDI pads. Is it 4 knobs? 4 knobs, and like the mod wheels. You know what I'm saying? That little section there. So I downloaded Rekordbox, and that's what I DJ'd on for the first month until I bought my controller.
Off of a MIDI keyboard?
Yeah.
What? Oh my God. Really?
Okay. So I had 2 trim knobs, and then I had 2 filter knobs. Right. So I could get in and out of tracks. And then the 8 pads, I think I had set up like a play, and I think I had a play and 3 cues for each deck. And then you just
rebound all those so you could just go off of cues and stuff?
I just MIDI mapped it on Rekordbox to work. So I literally I'll send you a picture later of what I played on. You'll be, there's no way this kid DJ'd on that, and I did, and I got booked, and I played a bunch of shows on it. So I was like, well, I'm playing.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that is definitely a first for me. Like, I mean, I would have never considered it, because I mean, again, I have a 44 key keyboard, and that there are some buttons on there.
That little section with the pads, at that little pad section, that's what I played on.
Cool.
Yep,
Very
for
cool.
the first month. And then I bought a little cheap, what was it, a Hercules, what's it called? It's like the 300, Hercules 300 something, Mark II. The Impulse 300. So standard like little deck layout, 2 decks, super small, just USB, and I think it was like an RCA out for a main maybe. I think you could plug it into speakers. And I still have that deck as a backup. I played probably, I'm not kidding you, probably 400 plus shows in VR on that deck. Like it is worn out. There's no paint left on it. The buttons, like the knobs don't have any center detent left to them. Like everything is loose. My volume faders feel the same tension as my crossfader. It's used. And then, funny enough, last spring, for my birthday, DJ CJ, again, shout out CJ, sent me a set of 4-channel Newmarks, which is what I use now. So I think they're the NSFX4. So 4-channel deck, 2 platters with the center displays. Super, super nice. Super grateful to have them. And that's what I play live if I have to take them out. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. If I have to upgrade in the future for live performances, it'll probably just be an XDJ, something easy. I can just plug a thumb drive in and go. And then for software, I use Serato because that's what those decks are locked to, and also Rekordbox just for making thumb drives for live shows and stuff like that. But it gets expensive when you got 3-4 different softwares. I guess three software I got to use to get everything back and forth, and also VRCDN and VRChat Plus and Shadow PC. So by the end of the month, I've got quite a bit of cash in here to just come in and DJ in VRChat just because I love it.
You know, it's so interesting for me too, because I have a lot of musical roots when it comes to DJing and even just understanding music. So the whole idea of doing the rekey binding for those pads is such I'm so interested in it, and I have so many different questions going through my mind on it. But obviously, yes, it's really nice to have that as kind of a throwback, just in case if something breaks. I still have my old $200 model that if I ever have to bust that out, then I can perform on it too. But I think a lot of people are also genuinely interested on, because I would only assume that the way you perform in VRChat has changed over those years too. So kind of give us a little bit of a thought process on
big time.
Yeah, how it even started, and how you either put your headset on your head or you look through it, or how, and even how to what you're doing now.
I've always DJ'd with my headset on. There was always just something about the lights, just about having DMX and about being there. You know what I mean? It's like, I get why you would want to DJ on desktop, and I get why people do it. You know, your PC isn't capable to run everything all at once, or you don't want to chance it, or you just want to be able to see. Just simple things like that, you know? But no, I always just kind of wanted to perform with my headset on. I think my mixing style has definitely changed, definitely improved over the last little bit, I would hope anyways. Like even now, I'll go back and listen to some of my sets, some of my earlier sets that I have up on YouTube. I'm just like, oh my God, Matty, what were you thinking, man? Come on, man. This is horrible. What the hell was that transition? That was crap, dude. So, I mean, and you're always learning too. Like I'm not the best DJ around by any means.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was
your
first performance in here? I would assume you would remember.
Yeah, I do. It was Open Decks at the end of, I think, Metal Mondays at Valhalla. Way back in the day. They were kind of like a more metal and heavy metal themed venue. So yeah, I somehow I went to the club for a little bit, because I didn't start DJing right away, obviously. Like I wanted to do it, and I saw Mikey doing it, and I was like, okay. So it was probably like a month or two before I actually said, fuck it, I'm going to pick up a controller. And then, yeah, I somehow found Valhalla. I think it was Mikey's club. I think Cauldron. Shout out Cauldron. Am I repping Cauldron? Oh, I should be repping Cauldron right now. they collabed with him, and that's how I found him. And that's what I did. Open decks, and then that went well. And as soon as I got off stage, they're like, "Hey, man, do you want to actually like get booked for next Monday?" I was like, "Ooh, yeah, okay." So I was like, I better get some decks going here. So I ordered decks pretty much like the next day.
Yeah, that's so wild.
That was the end of that. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like it went fast too. It was just like before I knew it, I was like, "Oh, now I'm getting booked." Uh-oh.
I'd be a little bit more prepared than how you were averagely before then. I mean, listen, nobody needs to know what type of setup you have. As long as you rock it and you do a good job with it, you're getting the job done.
It's on the internet now, Rob. It's on the internet now.
I mean, you're
Rob.
the one that said that, not me. So that's it's going to be up on the internet before you know it.
Oh yeah.
So I'm also kind of interested too, because again, that's another side of the internet that has been so I don't want to say inspiring for me. I'm interested in it. But we rarely get to talk a lot about it because, well, especially now, you know, Fia has mentioned that she has taken a significant amount of time away from producing new content on YouTube. Obviously, she had, for the past couple of years, some really important videos showcasing VRChat as well as the rave scene, the club scene, and especially with Thrill Seeker too. You know, Thrill Seeker and Schism and getting an understanding of how in that little corner of the pocket that they can do to influence a lot of the DJ community and the stuff that they enjoy to do, while also kind of reaching a hand out to people that are interested in joining them as well. How did that process kind of go the way you wanted it to when you were kind of learning about Schism?
Well, like I always kind of knew about it, like just from like because I watched a lot of like Fia and Thrill content when I first started getting into VR. Just because they kind of cover everything, especially Fia was doing like a lot of the Quest compatible stuff at the time too, right? So with me being only Quest compatible, that was cool. And then, yeah, I don't know. I never really thought that I could get there. I don't know why, but I don't know. It was just like some of the DJs that had previously played Schism I was friends with, and I was just like, dude, I'm nowhere near their level, like not even close to being on their level. So for me, like if they would ask me to play at the beginning of me DJing, like if they would ask me like a year before they did, I would have said no. I would have been like, sorry, man, like I'm not ready for that, right? So I don't know. I think I just kind of grinded it out, and it was weird. I was hanging out with DJ CJ, and I was talking to him. I'm like, dude, it was like my New Year's resolution. I'm like, I want to get booked for Schism this year. And I'm not kidding. Like it was probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, tops. Q got a hold of me, and Q was like, hey man, we'd love to have you DJ at Schism for us for a 3-year anniversary. I was like, okay, sick, dude. Like sign me up. Let me know when it is. He's like, it's September. I'm like, okay, dude. I'm in. Like bingo bango. It was weird. I kind of just I don't know. I feel like at that point, I just grinded so hard that I just like manifested it. I said I wanted to do it, and it was just like, it just came my way. I don't know how, but.
Now, would you say that performance obviously kind of kicked your butt into gear of trying to figure out IRL stuff as well as your performing style? Was that kind of a key turning point to all of that? And how did you prepare even for that moment then?
Yeah, I mean, I had been talking about it like all last summer. I was like, dude, I kind of want to start playing some shows. I work at this crazy awesome restaurant here, and they throw some gnarly parties. It was this giant brisket party. I went out there and DJ'd. They asked me to come out and DJ for the afternoon, so I went out there and I DJ'd for 7.5 hours out of 9, which was kind of an endurance test. But yeah, I did that, and then that was just about a month before Schism. And I remember CJ saying, like, dude, after you play Schism, you're gonna be kind of like in this lull, like this little like bit of like a down. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, that's like your goal for the year, and it's like it's like there's not many places bigger that you're gonna play. You know what I mean? Or anywhere without a bigger community. There's nowhere you're gonna play, right? So he's like, after that, it's kind of it. Like, he's like, you're just gonna realize, like, I don't know, like, what do you do after that? You've already gone you've already made it. You know what I mean? It's like you climb Everest. Like, what are you going to do? So yeah, for me after that, I kind of just took a week and was like, you know what? Kind of want to start DJing in real life. So I just kind of started going to events in town, buddying up with people. I had a couple of local DJs on the podcast that I do myself, and just kind of got my name out there. And eventually, yeah, I got booked for New Year's. So I think it was probably about a couple months before I actually got that to work in real life. But again, yeah, I just kind of said I wanted to do it, and someone asked me to come play, and it just happened to be for like 4,000 people, and I was literally crapping my pants because I was like, again, I was like, I'm not ready. But no, that went awesome. It went well. I had tons of fun. The crowd was bouncing. The people who booked me loved it. They loved my energy. So yeah, man, it's crazy how that works. Like, again, it was so fast, right? Like, it's just like in here.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to kind of treat everything the same. Just network.
It's such an interesting foresight, looking at it the way that you did and getting an understanding of how that is too, because in my opinion and the way I'm looking at things, especially for new DJs in the scene, they are looking for an end goal, whether it's at the end of the year, whether it's coming up. Maybe it's something that they want to go perform at. For a lot of people in here, they do recognize some of the much larger groups in here, and they keep hearing lots of information based on either on Discord or on social media, or just the fact that they see lots of great visuals. And again, I can't just sit here and just rattle off some names, even though I'm sure between the two of us, we can rattle off a couple names and thinking, okay, maybe I want to go and perform there. But these are the things that I feel like most of the time we rarely get to discuss, because while, yeah, we do want to focus in on where we do want to head, either this year or as an actual goal, meeting that goal is great. But then what's on the other side of that, outside of like, well, I already did what I wanted to do? Is it going to be a matter of crash and burn, or be motivated to continue doing something that you enjoy, maybe even performing at the next venue? So what kind of advice would you give to the people that are coming in here, seeing that you kind of had to go through it yourself, where you had a passion, you went for it. Obviously that kind of came to you on a whim. I don't know if that was luck, skill, whatever you would want to call it. But I can only imagine that there are a handful of DJs in here that are performing so often that they want to get their chance in the sun. But then once they get their chance in the sun, let's just hope that they don't burn themselves or come out of this other side with a wicked tan.
I don't know, man. I think there's always something you can kind of strive for. Like, even like when you get to the like top clubs, there's still tons of stuff that you can do to have fun. And like, you know, it doesn't always have to be chasing the dragon. You know what I'm saying? You don't always have to be striving for something. At the end of the day, we all started DJing in this game to have fun, because we love DJing, we love music, we love the scene, we love the rave scene, whatever it is. At the end of the day, you have to remember that that's why you do it. None of us are making money. We're not famous. Like, in real life, no one knows who the hell any of us are. We're just standing in, Zombie Punk put it best, we're all standing in a living room somewhere with a friggin' toaster strapped to our face. So I think we all just have to remember that, and like, be a little more humble about it. Yeah, you can have a bit of an ego, whatever. It's, you know what I mean? Like, there's no need for it, really. And I've found like quite the opposite here than real life. Like, here, the DJ scene is super supportive. Like, everybody here is down to help you out, whether it be like with tech stuff or song selection or just simple stuff. Like, I've done it before, like video called somebody, be like, this is how I do my stuff, or like, you know, like, this is a little trick, or like, if you want to know how to do this is how it is. And I don't think that's quite the case in real life from what I've seen. I mean, it is and it isn't, but like, I feel like in here it's just way more supportive. I don't know what it is about it. And nobody like really gatekeeps their stuff. Like, people will send you tracks. Like, I've sent 100+ tracks to homies that are just trying to build up a crate of that kind of music. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, just have fun at the end of the day. That's kind of the end of it. Like, what else are we doing in here?
It's kind of a tricky question to answer, especially with the fact that, again, we continue to go a little bit back and forth with the idea of getting paid, the idea of becoming a professional,
Right.
becoming, and especially for someone that is just joining into the scene too, and interested in raving, interested in understanding DJing and stuff like that. This is a brand new year. We got a lot of people that just get their consoles this holiday, and maybe they are still practicing. Maybe they're still trying to get more involved. But it's kind of like, again, remaining humble, getting an understanding of what you want to DJ while you're in here, but also too, like, helping each other understand those types of goals. Obviously getting some people to come in and maybe they do want to hit up some of the much larger clubs and do that sort of biz. Or maybe they just want to be a hobbyist too, and perform.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be a freaking superstar. Like, you don't have to try to be something that you don't want to be, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't want to go up and play those big clubs and you just want to hang out and play tunes for you and your homies, by all fucking means, man. Pardon my French. By all means, man. Like, that's what we're here for. We're here to have fun and play music for our friends. Like, at the end of the day, that's literally the only reason anybody goes to the club scene. You want to see your friends DJ, and at the end of the day, you probably know a lot of DJs by now. If you're a DJ, so you get in VRChat, you just want to go see them play and have fun. Like, I got to see one of my homies last night. Was that last night? Yeah, last night. I haven't seen him DJ in about a year now. He's had some stuff going on in his personal life and hasn't been on. And it was sick to see him come back and just have fun and throw down. Like, that's what it's about. And it was awesome. It was fun for me to see him having so much fun. You know what I mean? Like, that's, at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for.
Yeah. Now, again, kind of going a little bit back and forth. Well, I don't want to say back and forth, but back to the topic of IRL DJing and the fact that not only did you get to do this amazing event, this first event, IRL New Year's Eve, in front of a huge crowd. For those people that haven't seen it, there's some videos up on the Instagram at DJ Matty Rage. Definitely go check it out. That crowd was incredible. It got even to the point where you're watching,
awesome.
You can't even look past the person in the back. It just keeps kind of going back.
It was that was
yeah.
big.
Talk to us a little bit about how, obviously you were saying there, you're saying you're peeing yourself, but at the same time, like, I would only assume that you handled it professionally and beautifully.
Oh, of course. Oh yeah. I mean, I find that a lot of us sell ourselves short. We always sell ourselves short. We're our hardest critic. You know what I mean? Like, you mess up one mix on one track in 2 hours worth of music, and you're like, "Oh my god, I look like an idiot. What did I just do?" When in reality, like, some of my sets that I think are the worst are my best. So you just got to go up and just know that. Just go up and do what you do, man. Like, at the end of the day, that's all you can do. You can go up there and you can stress yourself out, or you can go up there and play some music and have fun. Like, it's, I don't know. I kind of walked in and was like, you know what? I got booked for this for a reason. Like, if I wasn't ready, they wouldn't have asked me to play, right? So, like, they found me through the podcast that I do with my homie. They messaged a podcast. We're like, hey, we're interested in having Matty Rage down for New Year's to play some stuff. And I said, yeah, man, I'd love to be a part of that. Booked it right away. Signed a contract. And then it hit me. I was like, oh no, I forgot how many people are down there. I forgot how many people are down there on New Year's. Oh no. I started like freaking out instantly. I was like, oh man. I was even like confiding in some DJ friends here online. I'm like, I don't know what I just did, man. I just booked a show for like 4,000 crowd. I was like, I don't. So I put together a set and I was like, I'm going to play it. I think it's good. If they don't like it, I'll switch it up a bit. So yeah, it went awesome, man. I think you just kind of have to go into something like that with confidence, knowing that you're going to play better if you go in there feeling like you're going to kill it than if you feel like you're going to totally botch the whole thing and mess it up. You're going to go in there and probably botch it and mess it up. You just got to go in and like I said, it's just, you're playing music for people and you're trying to have fun. You're trying to make them have fun, or get them to have fun.
Do you think
right?
it was a little bit of the musician in you, understanding stage presence too?
That too. Yeah, I mean, because I've been playing in metal bands for, oh geez, I think the first one I played in was like, I would have been like early 2000, like 2001, 2002. So like I've been playing in metal bands for almost 25 years now, right? So that helped for sure. I mean, I don't know. It's funny for me because when you play metal band, you never really play for a big crowd. Like sometimes it's just the other bands and their girlfriends and their road crew, and that's it. Unless you're in like a top tier metal band, but like your average local aspiring metal band is not. You know what I mean? They're not doing that. So, yeah, that was by about easily 10 times the most people I've ever performed in front of live. So for me, that was a big one. Super exhilarating, super fun. When you've got that many people just bouncing with you, there's I don't know how else to describe
like
that.
It's funny because when I was seeing some of the videos, first of all, I've only been to Montreal. That is my little bit of Canada, of going to Canada. But seeing the videos of people outside for New Year's, they're all bundled up, they're all bouncing around. Obviously, the temperatures are a little different when you're doing that outside. Maybe people were drinking and stuff like that. What was the energy? What does the energy feel like when performing for that type of a venue? And I know also, too, we've been seeing lots of venues where you have the ski resorts. Gosh, I don't remember what the famous one was, but there is one famous one that people tend to go to. Is it like Aspen or something, where they DJ too? Yeah. And there's people out there wearing their winter coats and stuff.
It's kind of that vibe. Yeah, it's kind of that vibe. It was actually super cold that night. I'll have to send you a video later after the pod here, but I got a little 6-second clip of the snow. Okay, the stage was covered on all sides except for the front, right? Obviously. Guess what direction the snow is blowing? Directly towards the front. So I'm standing there and snow is just pouring in as I start my first set. Thank God I had this giant this microfiber towel that I like cover my decks with. I had to put that on my laptop, like over the keyboard, because it was like starting to fill with snow. So thank God it was like -15 also. So all of my faders were super stiff. I was basically just like trying not to do crazy shit and just mixed in and out. Just like, yeah, it was wild, man. Like the crowd there was just insane. My first set, because I played 3 times throughout the night, right? So I played 3 like 40-minute sets or so. First set was kind of like just chill. Second set I walked out, I'm like, holy, there's a lot of people. Third set I walked out was like, oh my God, there's a lot of people. But man, it's awesome up there. It's the snow with the light package and just the crowd just jumping and everybody bundled up, and like you can just see like this big cloud of steam just like kind of from everybody's breath, just like as far as you could see. Basically, like the lights only go out so far, and I couldn't see the end of the crowd. Like from where I was standing, I couldn't see the end of it. So it was pretty sweet. And yeah, I had buddies there. They're like, man, we tried to get in to see you, and like we got in, but we were so far back, man. You were like this tiny. It was just, I don't know, it was super surreal, man. Like the scene and the vibe was so cool that I just kind of got into it and forgot that I was DJing for that many people. I was like just doing my thing and having fun. And it's like when you play a club in VR where it's like they have this sick light package and it's everything's working well. It's just like unbeatable, right? So yeah, it was awesome.
And also too, these are the things that you have to get to experience for yourself, and getting to be put into those positions to be able to perform not only for New Year's in front of a huge crowd and getting them amped and pumped, and but you also get to understand what it's like when a crowd is keeping warm through liquid. You know, like keeping warm for another reason.
So, yeah, there may have been some swigs that I saw. I saw some people just, having a little toot.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal. But I'm sure it was just Fireball, with the little cinnamon keep you warm.
And that's something to keep in mind too, because I think as far as the confidence goes, and we kept going a little bit about the confidence and how you get the confidence from being a musician up on stage. There's still a lot of people in VRChat.
There's a cat here.
Oh,
Yeah, hello. Hi, cat.
I was gonna say, who let the cat in the studio?
That scared the crap out of me. Okay, all good. There we go.
Well, at least you know you got your cat there for warmth, I guess, when it's a little bit cool.
Oh, God.
But kind of talking about the confidence part of even performing in virtual reality, that's kind of another one of those hot topics of people coming in and they're nervous about performing in front of a crowd. Those people that are even nervous to perform for their friends in VRChat have to realize that the IRL scene can be a little different based on the scenario that you're in. And in this particular situation, people are going to find other means to A, keep warm, or B, keep the party going. And as a DJ, you know, it really doesn't require so much effort. You still got to do your job, but it doesn't require as much effort as you would on a regular weekday here in VRChat, I guess.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. Like, I guess Valen, my homie Valen, if you know him, awesome drum and bass DJ, by the way. No, he said it best. He's like, dude, you're literally like proving my point that like this is transferable to real life. He's like, just because you DJ. He's like, you're just proving like this whole model works. Like, you can go from VRChat DJ to hobby DJ to semi-professional, getting paid money, good money to go play shows to a lot of people. Like, it's
now. Did you promote that when you were getting these gigs? Or did you promote the fact that you were DJing in VRChat, or did you show examples of the stuff that you were performing in here?
That's how I got booked. That's how I got booked for the New Year's gig, because I always say, like, at the beginning of our podcast, we always do like a how was your week? Me and Dan ask each other how our week was. I'm like, great, man. I'm like, did a bunch of DJing in VR this week, played a few clubs, birthday party. Actually played the club that I'm a resident DJ at. I played a club in like Germany. It's like, nice. So whoever the event planner is for the town, it watches our podcast regularly, and just through that, asked me if I wanted to come DJ. So literally, it was just me talking about DJing in VRChat to the point that someone in real life was like, just come DJ. So that's like literally, thank you, VRChat. Shout out VRChat. If you guys would like to sponsor me, I'm open for sponsors.
Dude, I'm just so stoked that it works. I'm so stoked to hear that, because these are the things, man. We keep hearing about it. The people are practicing really hard in here, and then when you do get an opportunity to showcase what you do, it could work.
Well, that's it. Like, don't sell yourself short, man. Like, what you're doing here isn't just, at the end of the day, if you're DJing with a controller and you're DJing live in front of these people, you're practicing, you're DJing. You are a DJ. You're DJing live for people on the spot. Unless it's pre-recorded, you're a DJ. Like, that's all there is to it at the end of the day. And like, don't sell yourself short, man. Like, you could think you're not that good, but you could have a whole whackload of people in here that are like, man, why aren't you DJing like on the reg? Like, why don't you do this like real life, man? Like, there's so many DJs in here. Me and DJ CJ talk about this regularly. There is some unremarkable talent in this scene, in this game. There are DJs here that should be playing festivals, like headlining festival slots. Like, it's just wild. Like, don't sell yourself short, man. Go out and give it a shot. I mean, it's not for everyone. If that's not what you want to do, then yeah, don't worry about it. Just play and have fun. But if that's what you want to do, like, don't think that just because this is how you started DJing doesn't mean that you can't go DJ in real life. Like, you're already doing it. Just take your headset off, see all your buttons, and go have fun and get paid somewhere. Like, if that's what you want to do it. Like, don't forget where you came from, obviously. Like, we all started here. Like, if you're gonna, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just remember where you came from.
Good way.
And have fun with it.
It's a good way of looking at it. When you were performing and when you were promoting the experience that you've had in VRChat to doing this IRL gig, and even the one we'll talk about, the Open Decks, in a moment, because that is the most recent. Did it affect your genre choice, or is that something that you just still continue to push based on your skills in the specific genre that you perform?
Like, did it affect my choice in VR or in
real life, because of the fact that you do have to present the music that you had played in VRChat comparable to something you would do IRL?
You got to know your crowd. You can't walk in and play metal step to a whole bunch of 18 to 25-year-olds that just want to hang out and listen to some tunes to get drunk. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to work. They're just going to go somewhere else. So yeah, it does. It does affect your song choice and like your genre choice and what you can get away with. You can push it. Like, you could throw the odd track in there. Like, yeah, throw in like a dub Britney Spears song or something, and people are going to be like, oh, but you can't do that for the whole night, right? Like, I find, oh yeah, like I said before, I find that now that I've played some more real life stuff, I find that I'm even reading the room more in VRChat, whereas most of us, I think, as DJs in VRChat, don't read the room. Because like I said, at the end of the day, it's weird. The DJ scene here is just weird. It's people are at a club and they're having fun and they're drinking with their friends, but no one is really, at the end of the day, there to see the DJ. Like, there are people that are there to see the DJ, but it's not. I don't know. It's weird. A lot of people are just drinking in a circle, talking with their friends. I'm guilty of it. I do it all the time. It is what it is. But I don't know. I found that, yeah, I've just started kind of reading the room a little bit more in VRChat, and it actually works. Like, if you read the room and you see that everybody's standing around, switch it up. If no one's at the front, no one's dancing, switch it up. It's like, you got to do that in real life. Otherwise, you're just going to clear it out, right? So if I played what I wanted to play on New Year's, most of those people probably would have just gone somewhere else for that half hour. You know what I mean? So,
and just being in VR too, like you were saying, it's kind of a learning experience for everybody, especially those that do want to start DJing in here. It's
a great tool.
There's a little bit of a fine line between the things that you want to play comparable to what people are actually looking to hear, either from you or from the entire night or whatever. And yeah, reading the room, it definitely helps, but that also kind of plays hand in hand based on your skill of being able to reroute how you're going to be having your sets perform. And I guess that's partially the reason why I was asking about the IRL gig, was because of the fact that, like, all of these are very helpful tools for those people that are genuinely interested in making that transition. And now that you've had these experiences to showcase that, obviously it's not a template. It's not like this is what you do to succeed to go do the thing.
Yeah, there's no cookie cutter way to do it. Like, it's just.
So how did you stumble upon the open decks that recently happened? Was on the 15th?
Yeah, so that one, that is a homie of mine. Her DJ name is Bunny Hops. You can check her out online. Super good DJ. Does like a lot of house, Afro house, stuff like that. Awesome. Super cool chick. We had her on the podcast, and she hosts these monthly events called With Intention. So basically, it's kind of to showcase like local DJs, and then they'll bring in, like, for the headliner, like a bigger, like, out of town DJ that's done festivals around like the Alberta, BC area. So super, super cool idea. It's awesome. They just keep getting better. Every event that I've gone to has been sick. So I asked how I get on one of those, and she said, come down, play the open decks, and then we'll try to get you on one of these. I was like, okay. So she was announcing the open decks and got a hold of me, said, hey man, do you still want to come down and spin some tunes? I said, hell yeah. So that was kind of how it went. I don't think it went as good as I thought it was going to go. And I don't know if it was, I don't know, real life's different, because like, if only 10 people show up or 20 people show up, or there's only 10 or 20 people there for your show in VRChat, you're like, oh, whatever. But if there's only 10 or 20 people there for your stuff in real life, you're like, And it wasn't anything that I was doing. It was just people cleared out, like, kind of the DJ that was before me. It was getting late. I didn't start till 1 a.m. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it was my fault or not, but it just didn't go that great. It was new equipment I've never played on. Not to say that I didn't play well. It just, I think.
But you learn from it. That's the thing. It's all like, learning experience, yes.
Because it was quick. It was like half hours, so it was quick. So the guy up before me was like, do you want to mix off of me? I'm like, sure. And I plug in, and I'm like, what are you playing? And he's like, I'm at 145. I'm like, you're playing dub at 145? Okay, good thing I packed some of that. So then I had to transition from dub into drum and bass, which is like a 30 BPM. So it took me, 5-6 minutes to get into it. And in that time, I was just crushing some dubstep. So I don't know. The other DJs and everybody else that was there thought it was sick. Only one person said anything bad about it, but whatever. And then they gave me a compliment anyways about it. They're like, it's not my music, but those are sick transitions. So if that was the most negative, that was the most negative thing that happened that night, was it's not my music, but those are some sick transitions. So I don't know. I think I'm just beating myself up about it, but
it's
I don't know. It's hard after you go from 3,000-4,000 people to go play for 20, and you're just like, oh, is that me? Or
I mean, it's all learning. It really is, and you gotta take the bad with the good, and sometimes the good happens, and then sometimes a bad thing happens too, and you learn a little bit about it. But
right.
But that's how you
gotta
grow.
take my own advice. Gotta take my own advice and stop second guessing myself.
Yeah, and again, the best thing about a bad experience is that you learn from it and you get to grow from it. And if it's only when it's bad and it happens all the time, then you're just like, well, maybe it is.
Maybe I am
doing something bad. But at the same time, you're just like, oh, am I getting joshed here? Is this for real life? But
oh no,
yeah.
I got that instilled in my brain like pretty early on. It's like, especially if you make a mistake on stage, like just play through it, man. If you play through it, nobody's going to notice. If you stop everything and be like, oh, sorry guys, I messed that up, let me try that again, that's not a good look. So just play through it. No one will even notice. Some of the worst sets I've ever played that I thought I played the worst, homies are like, dude, that was the best set your band's ever played. I'm like, oh, really? I thought I screwed pretty much half that up. They're like, no, dude, that was wild. I was like, okay, sweet, thanks.
Yeah, everybody goes through it, and sometimes you just kind of have to deal with it, and that's okay. It's VRCDJLIVE, and we're sitting here with Matty Rage. Of course, for those people that are in the chat,
heck yeah,
we're over here. The camera's over where your cup.
Oh,
there it is.
Heck yeah.
I don't know. I know I keep switching it up a little bit, but of course, this is a live program. We're always asking a bunch of questions for Matty, and actually, this later part of the hour, which we're going to be getting into, is we're going to be talking a lot about the podcast stuff, because of the fact that even you were saying how the podcast did help you succeed in doing IRL stuff. So like that is amazing alone, because of the fact that people are paying attention to your podcast and what you're providing up on YouTube, as well as what you showcase personally based on your brand. So tell us a little bit about Overheard.
Overheard Podcast is a podcast that me and a homie from work decided to do. I'm back of house and he's front of house, so I guess it's a good contrast. But no, so it's a locally oriented kind of. Our area is just in this little valley. There's kind of two towns here, and they're kind of like sister towns that run between each other, with like local transit and stuff. So we just do a podcast based on local stuff. Like because we live in the area that we do in the mountains, there's just a lot of sports and cool stuff and cool people and artists, and just everybody's doing something cool out here. It seems like out here is just a funnel for like creativity and I don't know, just wellness and like just having fun in the mountains. So we kind of just showcase that. We do everything from like local comedians, which next week we're doing our first live on location at the Rose and Crown pub here. Shout out to them. Where we just have 6 comedians get together. We're going to have a few beers, shoot live, and see what happens. But yeah, we have comedians, musicians. We've had like writers, like filmmakers, philanthropists, like just anything. We've had Parks Canada on the podcast. We've had like local reps. And we just kind of cover a little bit of everything. It's kind of like our own little kind of like what's going on in town this week. So we'll do our interview with our guests, and then we'll have a segment where we kind of pull up some Facebook posts from our local shite posting Facebook page, which is usually full of just awesome touristy being stupid, like parking memes. It's awesome. So we'll bring up some posts, and then we'll just kind of like chirp away at them, or like just give them our little piece, and that's kind of our second segment of the show. But it's been fun, man. We've been doing it since last March. That's when we started it.
It's fun that you're kind of getting into a little bit about where you're living and bringing the community together based on topics of things that are actively going on. And all of that is super important for a good economy, is good for business, it's good for professionalism, but it's also a good way to kind of be ahead of the curve when it comes to, I don't want to say like news or anything like that, but like obviously local news sources go somewhere, but for you to bring attention to someone that would technically want to get more attention within the community is super helpful. Have you seen other types of podcasts or other type of social media that is within your town that you guys work with, or someone that has brought up your attention more for that?
I mean, there's not, like, our town is very small. Like, we're talking about, it's a weird spot. There's maybe 8,000 people that live here at any given time, but it's so transient that population just flips. Like when it's snowboard season, those kids are here. When it's summer, those kids leave and go, and another bunch of kids come in for the summer. It's actually crazy. So I think it's just more of like, those people don't really have any, like, they don't really know about town or like what goes on here. Like, you don't get a good grasp on what goes on here in like 6 months, you know what I mean? So for them, it's kind of cool to see what's up, and for the local guys, it's cool to see what's going on and what everybody else is doing. Like, there's so much cool stuff going on here, and people are always doing something to try to help the community, and it's just a really strong sense of community here, I guess, is kind of what we showcase on the podcast. And it comes up time and time again where people are just like, it's like, why do you stay here? Why do you live here? It's expensive, it's tough, it's touristy, it's insane in the summer. It's just a rat race in the summer. It's like, it comes down to like, it's just the homies are here, and it's a super strong sense of community. Like when something bad happens here, the whole community comes together like instantly. It's wild. Like, I've never seen anything like it in my life. I forget that other places aren't as friendly as here because I've been here so long. Like, I forget when I go to the city, people are just like, yeah, man, like, screw off. It's like, okay, sorry, man. Like, I'm just trying to be nice. Like, but yeah, it's a cool spot, man. It's a super cool spot, and we just like to showcase that, right? So
it's super unique too, just because of the fact of, and I'm going to put in a little bit of context for those people that haven't had this experience. For me, living in Connecticut, I always thought that Connecticut was such a medium market, and just because of based on how large the state is, you could genuinely go from tip to tip within 3.5 hours. And for me, I always thought that was kind of like you've already walked around town, you already saw everyone's kind of neighborly, everyone talks to each other. News doesn't go too far without you knowing about it. Then I moved up to Vermont, and I lived up there for 3 years, and it even got smaller. So the sense of community and village and you know, again, talking with your neighbors and and wholesomeness and non-business, there's non-corporate businesses up here in Vermont too. And while that's amazing, and it's also great to see a community effort amongst whether you're doing newspaper or podcasting or even working for the news or working for a nonprofit or something, they all work together. But then when I moved to Florida, like, you've got some like really major market stuff, and just as you were saying that, like, getting your foot in a door in a much larger city is almost as whimsically impossible as if you were to move to Hollywood and be like, oh, they told me that if I move to Hollywood and I start like working in a restaurant, then maybe I'll be able to be on some like movies somewhere down the road. Like that's semi impossible.
That's personal. I work at a restaurant.
I mean, but you got the experience though. Like, that's the thing though. You go work at a restaurant over there, you're just like, well,
I work in a restaurant. I'm famous.
But like that's so that's so unique, and I feel like you need to get credibility for it for doing that too. Just because, like as you were saying, being in such a small area for a smaller amount of time compared to someone that will move to a much larger city for much larger dreams, it's not even it's something you have to experience to understand. Like you can grow and you can get a lot, celebrity status and grow and be large and whatever, but it may not be your cup of tea, especially if you enjoy the smaller things in life in a smaller village.
Right. I hear you. I know it's every time I go back to the city, I'm just like, oh man, it's like take me home. It's like Taco Bell was good, take me home. It's really the only reason I go. Like if I go into the big city, it's about an hour and a half from here. I mean, we have like I said, our sister city about 25 minutes away. But the city's like an hour and a half. So every time I go there, I literally just go to the guitar shop, get what I need, go to Taco Bell or KFC or both, and then just go home. It's like, it's not for me, man. It's so chill out here. Everybody's so nice. Like everybody just vibes out, and like, I don't know. It's weird. You can walk down the street and just see strangers that don't know you, and they're just like, "Hey, man, how you doing? Hope you're having a great morning, man." It's like, "You too, buddy. Have a good one."
You don't have to make it into a really big event to just have an event.
Yeah. Like you try. Like I lived downtown Toronto for 3.5 years. Like you try that downtown Toronto, you're liable to get stabbed in the neck. Like just don't talk to people there. You know what I mean? So it's just a different vibe. Everybody here is just kind of in the same boat. We're all here to have fun and enjoy the mountains and like look outside, man. Like how are you mad right now? Look what's outside.
Mm-hmm.
Like we live in one of the most beautiful places in like all of North America. So
what were some of the recent episodes and some of the recent topics that really got your attention on the show recently?
Actually, our last one was really good. Cole, local musician, originally from New Zealand, and he is a recent testicular cancer survivor. So he got into that, and like we knew about it, and we asked him, and we're like, "Is it cool if we get into it on the show?" And he's like, "Oh man, I'd love to." Super cool guy, super nice, super genuine. Had some really good advice, and just like, it was crazy to hear his perspective and like going through something like that and how he dealt with it, and just that whole thing. He was just so cool about it. For me, it was just like weird to have someone talk about something like that and just be like so cool about it, and just like, yeah, man. Like he's like, shit happens, man. He's like, you just got to roll with it, bro. Like, do what you got to do. And it's like, yeah, I took care of it quick, and it's like I was in and out. He's like, within a month, I was done. I was like, that's crazy. He's like, from the time I found out, it was like a month, and that was it, no more. So, yeah, it was super cool.
I mean, if you were to consider the obvious too of just most of the news and most of the stuff you see on social media, there is some sort of a pity party aspect to it. Obviously, we're not all in it for pity party, but at the same time, I think a lot of people are feeding into that sort of thing, kind of either expecting it or wanting to hear some form of emotion behind it. So, but being really cool about it's definitely an emotion as well.
Well, yeah, it was just like, he was so open about it, and just like, yeah, man, this is how it is. This is what happens. Like, what are you gonna do, man? Like, you're gonna sit here and like cry about it and whine and make people feel sorry for you? You're just gonna like take care of get shit done.
I just really hope that like if that were to happen to me, I'd want to be just as cool too. But at the same time, you got to reconsider the fact that the thing that just happened to you, it's kind of a life-changing moment.
He's like, oh yeah, he's like, it was crazy for me, but it's like, yeah, you just like, at the end of the day, it's like, whatever, life deals you cards all the time, you just got to play them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
now, I know one of the examples you sent me in a DM a couple of months ago, because I was interested in it, took a look.
Oh yeah.
Was the interview that you did with Zombie Punk and with DJ CJ, who just kind of rolled up in there. Tell us a little bit about that episode, because I feel like there is a big old calling card for VRChat people that are interested not only in podcasting, but the stuff that you were talking about on that show.
Oh, that was cool, man. So that one we did, like I said, with Zombie Punk, who just also is doing a massive rebrand. I don't know if you know that or not. So He was the previous owner of Cozy Club, which, as far as I know, is no more. Now, club owner of Couture, which is, in fact, having an event right now that I got invited to, but I'll show up later, Zombie. Sorry, buddy. I'm doing something right now.
I'm sure they would do that too, because they
But-
were on the show maybe a couple months ago. So they've already been on here, but not through Couture.
Right. But yeah, it was super cool. We just basically, what happened was we had a guest. As you know, it happens. I don't know if you've had this happen yet, Rob, but this will happen. We'll tell you the day of shooting that they cannot make it. It will happen. In real life, that's a bit of an issue, right? VRChat, maybe not so much. So we were kind of stressing out, and I was like, hey, man, I already talked to Zombie about like possibly doing an episode. He said, let him know. I'm like, I can send him a text, because it was like the morning of. This guy's like, I'm not coming. Like, you guys have like 7 hours to figure something out. So we're like, okay, we're scrambling. I was like, no, I'm not scrambling shit. I'm like, watch this. I'm like, Zombie, you want to come do an episode tonight about club scene in VR? He's like, yeah, man, I'll even jump in VR. I was like, sweet. So we just basically did a Discord call. He was on VR. We were live side by side. I think it blew my co-host's mind a little bit. He didn't get it, because he's not like a big computer guy. He just didn't get it. He's like, wait, so they're going to be in VR? Does that mean we have to be in VR? He's like, you only have one VR headset. How are we going to be in VR? I'm like, no, dude, no. Dude, we're on it's going to be side by side. Like, they're in VR. He's like, how are we going to see them? I'm like, dude, just trust me. So it comes up, and he's got, like, obviously both of them have like full body. And yeah, they come up, and he just was like, oh my God, we're doing like pre-sound check, like what we were doing tonight. So we got together about 15 minutes before, doing sound check, making sure everything's good, making sure the streaming software is all good. And Dan is just like, what, dude? He's like, this is wild. And then CJ comes in and just does his little hello. I died. But no, that episode was awesome. It was cool to kind of bring the VR club scene like a little bit into the limelight of real life, at least even on some tiny little podcast in the middle of the mountains. But no, it's great. We touched on all the club scene stuff, the usual stuff, the drinking, the substance stuff, you know how it goes. And then yeah, it was a banger. I had fun, man.
I was going
to
say, as far as the comments were concerned, I would assume that a lot of people that are watching your show on YouTube are also a part of your community, and obviously,
right.
I mean, I'm not in that area, so I'm not entirely sure how the kids are nowadays with their Oculuses coming into VRChat, if they're thinking about it or if they're playing other games. What has it been like for your community to kind of better understand virtual reality? Have you seen any changes since maybe even the obvious?
I don't think so. Weird enough, when I did play the open decks, one of the kids was like, dude, you're the guy that DJs in VR, eh? I'm like,
no
oh,
way.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I checked out your Instagram. He's like, that's crazy. He's like, how does that work, man? He's like, I'd love to get into that. It looks sick. I was kind of telling him, and he's like, how do you see VR though? I'm like, what do you mean? I have a headset on. He's like, you have a headset on? It's like, yeah, why? He's like, the whole time? Like, yeah, that's how I DJ. He's like, well, how do you see? Like, the nose gap? And he's like, that's crazy, dude. And this was like a younger kid. The kid was probably only like 21, 22, maybe. Sorry, I'm old. You know how it goes. The kid is just like, man, that's wild. And then I start DJing, and he was just like right over the front of the deck, just like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I can see all the buttons. So I'm not a bad DJ. Like, I can do some stuff. Like, and especially at open decks, because it's made for people that don't really get the chance to go up and play in front of live people, or don't have nice gear at home. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was super cool to like go in and be a part of that and just see like where everybody's at as far as like what people are playing, what they're doing. It was fun.
I mean, I love hearing about these types of scenarios where they will look you up on social media, and it's something that I'm going through personally as well, because of the fact that I can't escape the fact of performing in virtual reality, if that's something that we're actively doing in here, and we're kicking ass with that. But at the same time,
Not
too,
anymore, Rob.
well, yeah,
Not anymore, Rob. You're doing it now.
Yeah, I actually have to show my face while I'm doing it. But that's the thing, though, too, is just like when you have a kid who's constantly thinking about it, and besides the obvious, they're going to play Population 1 or Beat Saber or whatever else is kind of the latest, greatest, whatever in Oculus, to even think about not only DJing in a club, but also DJing in a virtual space. But even more so, like, explaining it further than what they've learned either in media or through just the metaverse anyway, because they're kind of showcasing either what we do or what they're doing as an individual company, a completely different thing. But it's even hard to be able to have a nice, even balanced weight between the stuff that we enjoy here, that we know is going to be really awesome, comparable to something that somebody's going to promote on social media down the road too.
Right. I feel like people just, I don't know. I feel like VRChat's really weird. It either gets like like what we're doing right now, like the super cool positive stuff, or you get the like, oh, it's horrible, there's this, there's that going on, there's this, and like there's creeps in there, and I'm like, well, that's kind of everywhere. That's kind of any video game. Like here, I guess, has a little bit of different connotation because we're this, right? So it's a little bit different, but I don't know, man. Club scene in general is super welcoming, super cool. We don't tolerate any bullshit. If you want to be a loser, you're gonna get kicked, you're gonna get banned. Like it is what it is. Like just be nice to people and come in and have fun and know that everybody's just here to have a couple of drinks and go dance, listen to some tunes, right? So
I honestly feel like we've gotten to that point too where we're just kind of fed up, and even out of being fed up, that we have a means to do the things that we choose to do, regardless if you think that you're hurting someone's feelings with the blocking and whatever, you don't really need those people in your life. Why are they there in the first place? Like you could kind of
it's easy in here. Like if you're in a club and you have an altercation with someone, you can't just go, oh hey, block.
Yeah.
See you later, buddy. Never see you again. It's like you're gonna get punched in the head. So
I mean, these are the things that we have to kind of deal with too. And I know I kind of would love a little bit of your opinion on this, especially because we are kind of we'll get back more into the podcast too. But the fact of just the matter that there are VR DJs, and those VR DJs not only are doing hobby work in VR, but they want to do professional stuff. But as they show off their professional stuff IRL, those people that are looking to hire them that have done VR, I feel like, and I've been asked this.
Oh, really?
Can you DJ on stage with your full VR getup?
Really? I would 100% do it.
Really?
I would 100% do it.
What? Talk to me.
I don't know. Why not? You've had people ask that before?
Okay, so I've had a couple of IRL gigs before, and we had been talking a little bit about integrating not only the virtual space through like video screen stuff. And they even asked me, they're just like, so what? Do you just stand on stage with the toaster on your face? And do you just kind of do the thing? And I'm like, you know how ridiculous that would look if I'm up on stage doing that right now? And they were just like, so are you going to do it or not? And I'm just like, you're going to ask me to do something. And if you want me to be silly up there,
Hey, listen. Okay, listen, this is how I would do it personally. I would wear the headset if on the screen you could just have the camera right behind you seeing what I'm doing in VR and see the VR crowd, right? That's how I would do it. And then I don't know, just peek up at the crowd, see if they're having fun. I don't know how you would see the crowd. You could draw a window. You could Virtual Desktop's got the thing where you can do like a cutout so you could see the crowd, but you'd just be on VR. I don't know. Yeah, it'd be weird just playing bypass.
But even that too, like you know that you're going to be up on stage with this thing on your face, and while you just
look like an idiot because you're always doing this. Yeah, you got to look under the.
Either that or you have the overlay in your window, but for the index, exactly, while we have cameras on the outside, we don't actually do what Oculus does, where you can see out into the crowd. But that's the thing too, is that like I don't want to be on stage knowing that I've got this thing on my face and I'm looking out at a crowd of like 200, 300 people, right? And they're just like, can you see us? What's going on in there? Are you looking at waifus or what's going on? Are you DJing?
You're just watching YouTube videos. You're not even DJing.
But like not
You
even
just-
that too. Like I don't want to even be a part of the news where they're just like local Florida man wears VR. He's the first VR
Oh,
DJ
see, well,
IRL.
yeah, see, at least I don't have the Florida man tag,
Yeah.
so it'd be a little more acceptable. But I don't know. I mean,
I mean, there could
portal events exist.
Yeah.
Well, like portal events exist, but that's where the crowd, like, there's no DJ on stage. They're just seeing the video and hearing the visual and hearing the audio from VRChat, right? And in VRChat, somebody's got the camera set up so they can see the crowd. And then vice versa, when the next DJ goes up, it's a real life DJ that's streamed into VR. So that's how those things work. That's how I would do it if I could. It would be something cool to get going in town. I mean, it'd be a cool way to have people see. It's a cool way to have DJs in VRChat kind of get a chance to play IRL, like they technically are. Like they're DJing in VRChat, but it's getting streamed to a club live through their sound system, right? So it's a super cool way to do it. I don't know who came up with it. It's pretty big over in Europe, the portal events, but they're super, super cool. And I wish more real life clubs would do it because there's, like I said, there's some insane talent on here. Like, why wouldn't you?
There are a couple of instances that I have seen personally where it has kind of worked out. I don't really remember the reason why I was down in Atlanta. Outside of probably going to, or maybe
Atlanta.
maybe it was during
Atlanta.
maybe it was during Dragon Con or something. But I ended up going to a brunch spot.
Wait, what did you? Okay, Dragon Con.
Yeah, Dragon Con.
Wait, back up. What's Dragon Con?
Dragon Con. It's not
like Dragon Bees.
Yeah, not like this guy. Oh my gosh. Good night, everybody. That's it, Matty Rage. No,
yeah. Okay.
No, if you haven't heard of Dragon Con though, it is one of Atlanta's premier conventions for anime and pop culture. Not only just wait. Not only does it, if you go to a convention, normally it kind of takes over one hotel.
Yeah.
Dragon Con takes over 7 blocks.
Whoa, okay.
It takes
in
over
Atlanta. That's wild.
Yeah, it literally eats up all of Atlanta. And like registration is in one hotel. That's how large.
Why
That's how large
would
it is.
they do that?
Because that's what it is.
That's crazy. That's insane.
So you're literally like going up and down these streets trying to go to different hotels and different experiences that the convention's going to give you, whether it's panels or cosplaying or the exhibit hall is actually 2 buildings.
I always knew you were a nerd, Rob. I knew you were one of us.
I'm earning my card. It's in the mail. But
oh goodness.
But I was there at Dragon Con, and during on Sunday they had like a brunch series or something, and I ended up going to a place.
Oh, cool.
And while they were having some delicious brunch, they actually had a what the heck is it? A projector screen
cool.
showcasing a DJ on Twitch that they had performing
Cool.
IRL in the restaurant, as opposed to just hiring someone to go in the restaurant.
Cool.
They just kind of streamed it wherever they were located, hired them, paid them, but then also projected it up on the wall
cool, dude.
while they were having it.
Okay.
So I could only,
Why am I not doing that?
yeah, I could only imagine that would be like the next big thing that I would have.
Market?
How do you market that?
How do you market that? Yeah, like that's what I'm talking about, dude. I would do that all day. I'd work from home.
Well, that's a regular.
If you're just like, dude, what did you do today? I DJ'd for like 6 hours and made more money than I would have in like 2 months. Like that's
what VTubers are doing, dude. Maybe you should become a VTuber. Most of the VTubers aren't actually going to the conventions. They're just kind of showcasing on screens anyway, and then they're just kind of getting paid for that.
Yeah, I'm old. VTubing is a lot of work, man.
You could be featured in an Atlanta brunch spot. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah, dude. Hey, man, free brunch. I mean, you provide the brunch, I'll provide the tunes. Right. I'll work for brunch. Pretty much is how it goes.
But kind of going back to that kind of concept too, because again, as we were saying, that being able to be a DJ and performing while having the toaster on your head, comparable to right. more virtual mirrors, and actually this weekend is a big virtual mirror for VRChat at MagFest. Because they've been holding down the virtual mirror concept for about 5 years, about 4 or 5 years. So not only introducing virtual reality there to a gaming and music convention, but also again, this is going to be the year where even you are getting approached for all of your contributions in VRChat and your DJing and stuff like that, comparable to someone who hasn't even heard of it Could
Right.
2025 be the bending point where you do wear Oculus on your face while you're DJing?
I mean, hey man, DJ set's a DJ set. If that's what you want, and like that's where it's going, like I don't know. I guess you'd have to do it. You'd have to do it some way cool. You'd have to do it like it almost would have to be like an IMAX for just like you're not like nobody's really focusing on you. They're just seeing like the crowd in VRChat, and then the crowd in VRChat would have to be crazy. Otherwise, what's the point, right? But I don't know. I think 2025 is a year where DJs are going to start breaking out of VRChat. Like the good DJs that you know here are going to start venturing out because, like I said, there's only so far you can go in VRChat. Like it is the ultimate best practice you're ever going to get, but there's only so far you can go before you're like, I would like to do this in front of real people, man. That'd be fun. And that's like I said, it's not for everybody. Some people don't want to perform. They don't want that. That's not what they're into. But for me, that's like, I love it. It's fun, man. So I think 2025 is going to be the year where we see some super good DJs start doing some bigger stuff in real life. Is I think what's going to go on. I know CJ's got some stuff in the works. I got some stuff in the works. I don't know. I feel like it's somebody's got to break the mold and like bring either VRChat to the mainstream or go from VRChat to mainstream or vice versa some way.
We're sitting here with Matty Rage here on VRCDJLIVE, and we got a couple more minutes left of the program. For those people that are joining us in the chat, you are more than welcome to showcase some of your questions, ask your questions, obviously, between doing DJing in virtual reality, doing DJing IRL, as well as the Overheard podcast. Now, we were kind of talking a little bit about just recently you came across some new applications for your podcast streaming setup as well. You were able to upgrade some of your computers, I believe some of your audio stuff. Talk to us a little bit about the stuff that you got now, comparable to even the first couple of episodes that you started shooting the podcast.
Oh God. Well, we originally were using my old gaming laptop, which is not in great spirits lately. It's not bad. It's just like 6 years old. So at the time it was okay. Right now it's not. It won't run anything. So it just got to the point where we needed to upgrade some gear, and the PC was our weakest link. I fortunately ran a recording studio for a couple years here in town. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which way you want to look at it. But I do have a lot of gear left over. So as far as like hardware gear, we didn't really need anything to get up and running, other than like a camera. So yeah, we just got a brand new PC. It's a fucking beast. i9. I think it's like a 19400, 4080, 32 gigs of RAM. So we can just edit stuff and get it out there super quick. Everything runs really good. We've got, actually, I do have to rebuild a rack because I have two primary rack setups. For anybody that doesn't know what a rack is, it's just hardware comes in these long things. You screw them into a couple of rails that just have holes in them, and you just set up pieces of gear in a rack, basically is what they call it. So right now I've got the Pro MP2 2-channel 2 preamp into Tascam 16-channel interface, which runs into our gate compressor combo by DBX, and then another Art Pro 6 output headphone amplifier, basically, so everybody can have headphones. And then yeah, that's kind of our setup. That's what we run. And our mobile rig is super easy. It's a 6-unit rack in one of those big gator cases. It's about that tall by about this wide. You put both the doors on it, you pack it up, you bring your laptop and a couple cables and mics, and you go. So that's a rig, and we'll be shooting, like I said, our first mobile episode on that one this Tuesday. It will not be live on the spot, just in case One of the comedians is Jewish, and he likes to say Jew a lot, just like inappropriately though. So we're gonna have to possibly do some editing, but I'm stoked to get the gear out of the house and go try it out on location. It's gonna be fun.
These setups are always very awesome to hear about and very interesting to hear about too, especially for those people that are interested either in podcasting or even just radio broadcasting in general, just because it requires a little bit of engineering ingenuity while setting up some stuff like that without breaking the bank, but also you also need to plan for if something breaks or maybe you want to upgrade some of your system anyway, comparable to what's on the market and what could be easier for you and your co-host and stuff like that. We want to talk a little bit about your new sponsor.
Oh, how'd you hear about that?
I mean, that's kind of a hole in the wall.
How'd you hear about that? Okay, yeah, you watched the podcast. Yeah, so we do have our first official sponsor. We need to do some stuff this weekend to finalize that, and then we'll be showcasing them. I'm not going to drop anything yet. We'll be showcasing them on our next episode on Tuesday, which is going to be the Kings of Comedy, filmed live on location at the Rose and Crown Tavern here in Banff. It's going to be awesome. Yeah, I'm super stoked. Local guy, local entrepreneur, multiple business owners, super awesome guy. One of the most ambitious dudes I've ever met. Super lucky to have him on our side and kind of giving us some behind the scenes advice as we kind of transfer into more of a business model, because we did incorporate this year as well. So we are officially incorporated, and yeah, we've got some big stuff in the pipeline. We've got some stuff we're moving towards this year, where we can kind of try to start to do this full time. So yeah, big things in the pipe, and I'm stoked.
It's really fun to hear about a lot of people that are not only interested in podcasting, but again, radio broadcasting and stuff like that too. Have you been kind of digging into some of the podcast stuff that's been happening in VRChat? Have you been kind of noticing some podcast series that you've been seeing here?
Yeah, I've seen a few of them pop up. I actually had someone else that does one. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, I've seen a few of them pop up. I mean, they're far and few between, and some of them. I mean, I remember one that only lasted like 4 episodes or something, and they were just like, "Nah, we're done." But yeah, I mean, there's so much cool stuff going on in VR. You could literally have a podcast about anything. I think it's more based on the community. Like if you've got a strong community in VRChat, there's going to be a want to have stuff like this. Like the club scene is super huge and super passionate. Like as small of a niche as it is in VRChat, the people that are in it are so passionate about it, and just everything down to like world creation, avatar creation, helping homies out, this, that. It's just super cool.
Have you also been kind of noticing a little bit about the type of templates that they use? I know for a lot of the people, especially when we talk about this show, talk about your show, have you kind of taken inspiration based on anybody else's templates, or just kind of the structure overall? Is there anything that you would like to change in your program that you've seen from other programs?
I mean, we're working towards getting another nicer camera is our next upgrade. But I don't know. I switched up the format. That would have been about a few months back now, about maybe 4 or 5 months ago, kind of halfway through. I switched the layout a little bit, how it looks, the graphics, whatnot. I mean, it'll evolve as it goes. It's like anything else. It's like your DJ visuals. You can only have them for so long before people are like, dude, switch it up, right? So, yeah, I think just another nicer camera, and I don't know. I'm playing around with some layout stuff right now and how I want to do it. I might go more of like a full screen cam with another little side cam down the bottom and switch up where the chat and stuff goes. But yeah, that'll come. it's always evolving. It's always ever changing. So you know how it goes.
Now we have a little bit of talk in the chat about finding where to find your podcast and what platforms. And I know we were going to kind of spend a little bit of time based on what was gaining popularity currently in 2025. I don't want to dare say the whole TikTok thing had been happening for the past several days.
Oh yeah.
But just the fact that between that being in limbo, not too many people. I mean, people are interested in Instagram. I don't know so much about stories on Instagram. They got the stories on Twitch. You got the short form content on YouTube. Where do you see all of this going?
Funny enough, we're actually looking, because we knew the TikTok thing was coming, we're looking at shifting all of our live stuff to Instagram. Twitch for us doesn't have a huge following. Most of our views don't come from Twitch. Most of our interaction comes from YouTube. Or from Instagram, sorry. We've got like 20,000 monthly interactions on YouTube or on Instagram. YouTube is pretty good. It's nowhere near that high. But Twitch is like almost none. You know what I mean? Like almost no, like 20 people are watching it live, or 20 people are watching it within that week that it's on your VOD list, right? So I think now that we're kind of coming up to the 1 year mark, like I said, we got some stuff coming down the pipeline. We're working on some bigger stuff, and I think that's kind of where we're going to go with the live stuff for the foreseeable future, as long as we can get all the stream elements and all that stuff to work, all of our overlays and stuff. But yeah, I think Instagram, and you saw it the first day, Instagram changed their layout to the TikTok layout. They did it instantly. They knew it was coming. Everybody's over there because they want short form content, and that's where it's going to be. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Make ourselves a dedicated page for like Overheard Podcast clips. But yeah.
Do you find a lot of people are going to be flocking to Instagram, especially in your location, just because of it being a much smaller kind of geo filter, I guess, a small space compared to a much larger market?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about locally here, but I think it's just the way that the social media is going in general right now. Like with TikTok being gone, everybody's just going to Instagram because Reels have always been there. You can just endlessly scroll Reels, you know what I mean? So they're just going to start making content there, and then I'm sure they'll find a way to monetize that big time. But hey, it is what it is. Platforms change. You change with the times. You got to roll with the punches. So if TikTok's where most of our engagement is going, then that's where we're going to roll. So kind of is how it is.
Besides Instagram, do you find that you kind of do a rotation of the social medias right now? Especially, I know just last year, a couple of months ago, we had been kind of doing a weird balancing act between Twitter and Blue Sky compared to some of the other of the other socials that are going on. How does that look for not only for yourself but for the podcast as well?
I don't know. We don't really use a whole lot of other stuff. Like as far as our podcast reach, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, Amazon Music, I think Deezer, and a couple other ones on our RSS feed. But you know, man, I don't know. It's yeah, I think that's kind of where it's going. I think Instagram is where it's at right now. As far as our numbers and our analytics go, that's what we're seeing. I mean, we're all over the place, right? Like we've got stuff everywhere, and when we look at our views, that's where most of our interactions and most of our views are concentrated. So it kind of only makes sense that we just move, or at least concentrate our efforts on that platform, right? Like if that's where our engagement is, and let's concentrate on that, and let's get those users in and involved and, you know, interested. So
kind of taking a look at
that's kind of,
go ahead.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like you were going to say, you just got to take a look at the numbers, man. The numbers don't lie. So it is what it is.
It's a tricky scenario too, because we've gotten to the point over the past couple of years where it's just a matter of like, why are we going through history every other week? But now that history is kind of turning into day by day by day, and we're just kind of putting out all the feels to see if something will stick, that hopefully something will work.
Yeah. Throw it out there and throw your net out there a few times and see where the fish are at, and then concentrate your net on that area. You know what I'm saying? So same thing with it's the same thing with DJ. Like you're at the end of the day, you just want to hang out and DJ. Oh no, am I dying?
Hey, we're just going a little bit of robot there.
Oh, I hit something got unplugged.
Oh,
1 second.
of course, this is VRCDJLIVE. We're
Okay,
doing it live. Sometimes things happen, and we got to deal with it, and we kind of shake up the bag a little bit. But as you're kind of going through this entire process, we do have someone in chat who is explaining a little bit about that they've known you from your musical background, and then just learning not only the fact that you're in VRChat doing DJing stuff, but also stuff with the podcast and kind of balancing it all together. And not only that too, but just over the past two years, give or take, trying to figure out the things that make you happy, the things that you're looking to test the waters in, and the things that you want to continue to do in 2025. Obviously, there's a lot of different avenues that you can take, and especially with the podcasting, like you were saying, you're good to go.
Oh yeah, I'm robot. I don't know if you can hear me.
I could hear you in the call, but
oh, okay.
So
yeah, I think it was just my internet got unplugged from my PC, so the cat's running around like an idiot. It should be fine. I can't really see that good, but if you can hear me,
cat's
then
on
no
emergency mode. But I know, and you're kind of in the ground there. There you go. You're working your way back. But again, the chat is kind of still interested to see where are you headed in 2025. There's a lot of different avenues that you can take. Obviously, you're doing a lot of work to not only balance the things that you enjoy to do, you're also looking to further your skills and what you're trying to accomplish in not only in virtual reality, but in IRL as well. But again, there's so many doors open to you, and now you're just kind of sitting in the middle going, all right, do I want to take it to go this way? Do I want to go that way? What are your thoughts, especially going into 2025?
At this point, man, I'm just kind of playing it by ear. Pardon me. Yeah, I don't know. I got a lot on the go right now, and I'm just kind of working. I think at this point, I'm working towards trying to work for myself by the end of this year. I've been in the industry a long time, the cooking industry, and it's just taken a massive toll on my body and psychological well-being. So I'm just trying to focus on what I'm doing this year, and trying to advance that and take that kind of as high as I can take it. I think I'm treating the real life DJ scene like I treated the DJ scene initially in VRChat to kind of bring it back full circle. I'm taking what I can get, and I'm playing. I'm getting my name out there, and I just need to get established a little bit and have people recognize me as a decent DJ. And I think from there, that's just gonna do the old snowball like it usually does, and bingo bango. And as well with the podcast, we're pushing towards making this a full-time business for me and Dan. So yeah, I'm excited for this year. It should be good. We're pushing forward. We got some big stuff coming, like I said. We got our first sponsor, which is awesome. Yeah, we're trying to just make a full-time gig out of it and see where we can take it.
And even with the podcasting too, like I feel like a lot of people that when you do say the word podcast, they're just, they instantly think about whatever they're either listening to on Spotify, or maybe they have their favorite that they go up on YouTube. But coming from more of a career orientated environment, such as myself doing radio broadcasting, that opens up another avenue for you as well, that you could not only learning about studio applications and being in a television studio and running lights and audio and being your own engineer, but also providing yourself the skills necessary to either run a show on radio or even go through the entire the circuit of understanding different genres and even performing your own either talk show or actual syndicated program on radio. Is that something you'd be interested in?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess we never really thought about it that way. But I think right now we're pretty focused on where we want to take the podcast and what we want to do with the company. And even if our podcast itself isn't ultimately what we end up doing, I think podcast production is kind of where we're leaning at this point. Just because, like, I mean, how many people do you know that would be like, oh man, I'd love to shoot a podcast. I'd be on a podcast. It's like, okay, well, give me $200. We'll come down. We'll set up. You guys come use the studio. You can shoot podcasts about whatever you want. We'll put it on air for you. It's easy, right? So like, that's kind of where we're going with the market. And like I said, it's just the area. There's so much cool stuff going on. And there's a lot of people that would like to have their voice out there that don't get the opportunity or don't have the technical knowledge to do so, or the gear, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's out here for a ski season. People don't have gear. They don't have stuff. They don't have things to do this, right? Like what we're doing. So to be able to offer that to the community, like, that's super what we're into right now. So it's kind of where we're going with the business model. And then obviously the Overheard Podcast, we're going to keep doing that. But I don't think it's going to be the bulk of where we see our business. I don't think from our podcast itself, let's say.
Now that you kind of changed over your name to Matty Rage, have you considered a Rage Cage like segment where you talk about your love for metal and metalcore?
I wanted to open one of those smash rooms and call it the Rage Cage. It's
well, let me just say this. What does Dan think? I mean, obviously, I was thinking you guys would have conversations about this, right?
About what? About Matty Rage?
No, just having these types of segments, I guess.
Yeah, we're always kind of shooting stuff back and forth. Like, I wouldn't mind switching it up, and we always kind of like, I don't know, because now we're offering sponsors. We're open to sponsorship now, right? So, I mean, yeah, like I said, the show's evolving. It's always changing. It could be that we have new segment sponsored by so and so, or we got whatever. I pitched a couple ideas, and we're kind of working on something just to like switch it up as far as the layout or structure of the show goes, just because we've been doing it for like almost a year. So it'd be nice to switch it up a little bit. But yeah, we're kicking it off 2025. We've only done one episode so far, so we've got lots to go. It's 46th episode I think we just did.
Nice.
So
awesome.
We're getting there.
Got a couple more minutes here on the program, and I'm kind of curious. See if you can try to wrap this up as quickly as possible. But where do you kind of see the DJ scene happening in VRChat this year, or even just in the future?
Oh, I feel like the club scene's going through a bit of a renaissance. I feel like it got a little stagnant there for a while, where it was just a lot of everything all at once. And I feel like there's some people that are just burnt out and just don't want to. I don't know. I think it was oversaturated for a little bit, is what I'm going to say. I feel like the bigger clubs that are around right now are there because they worked their asses off to get there. And I feel like the club scene is kind of getting back to the roots, where it's like people are doing this because they love to do it, not because they want to feel like they're cool or something. I feel is where it's kind of getting back to now.
Okay. I'm very excited to see some new people, new faces, especially in our community that come on in and really want to test the waters, dip their toes in, and maybe even reach out. Again, we're at a key area of our community where the gatekeeping isn't very extreme. I mean, there are some moments where people have moments, but at the same time, it is still a place for people to come in and just really enjoy themselves and talk to people.
Dude, super welcoming for new DJs. If you want to be a new DJ, if you want to DJ in VRChat, just ask. Like, someone will give you a shot for sure, dude. We love seeing new people in. We love seeing new faces, and we're here to help you, man. Like, we'll show you how to do your OBS. We'll show you how to do whatever. Like, join us. Join the dark side.
Now, before we get going here, one of the questions I really love to ask the guests, and I hope that you got to see the questions somewhere amongst the questions that I sent you, but I'm always looking to see who your top 3 VRChat DJs to watch would be.
Oh, DJ CJ, number 1 for sure. At number 1 spot. If he's on a rip of a night and he's quad chopping, look out. Murdoch's, absolute hammer. This sucks because they're all home. Like these are you're asking me to pick like my 3 favorite friends or something. No, just based on musical talent alone. I love Velen, man. He's got a great butt, and he loves drum and bass, which I also am really into, and he kills it.
I didn't really ever think that a butt would be so important when it comes to performing in here, because you would. I mean, you got to look at something, I guess, right?
No, there's a sticker of it that everybody's been throwing out. It's just Velen's butt.
Oh,
Everybody's
perfect.
like, ooh. It's like, that's Velen. It's okay.
It seems like a VRChat thing to do anyway, too. But before we get out of here, where can people find you on the internet?
Okay, so I'm pretty much Matty Rage everywhere now. So Instagram will be at DJ Matty Rage, or DJ Matty Rage, as well as YouTube, all that stuff. The links are all in my bio as well. If you guys need them, I'm sure Rob has them somewhere. I can send them to him. He'll post them in the video. Yeah, and also VRChat in here. Come see me. I'm playing all the time. Next show that I've got booked, I think, is February 9th. I'm pretty sure it's a private event, though. I'll have to check that one. But I'm playing all over the place in here. You can't miss me.
And then make sure that when you are following those links that we posted up in the chat, that you keep an eye out for your podcast kind of hopefully going over to Instagram very, very soon, right?
Heck yeah. And we're Overheard Podcast pretty much everywhere as well. So check us out.
There you go. Well, Matty, thank you for coming on to VRCDJLIVE, and I'm excited to hear the resolution of when you make the move and you kind of continue on with your progress.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me, guys. This has been a freaking blast. I don't know who all was in the chat. I wasn't really watching it, but cheers to everybody in chat. Yeah, man. And come see us. We're always around. Rob's not always around, but he's around sometimes.
I'm on the internet, so you could find me on the internet. I mean, whenever I am around, I try to go and see everybody.
He's like the Pokeroo. He pops in when he wants to, and then you're just like, "Whoa, is that Rob?
I travel with the wind." That's kind of what I like to do here. But
nice.
That's going to do it for us for our episode of VRC DJ Live. Of course, Matty Rage. Make sure you go follow him upon all the different social medias, and also come in see him perform when he is performing in VRChat. Of course, if you're not already following the show here on Twitch, we broadcast every Thursday. And the times do depend on our guests. So our next guest next week will be Sorry XO.
Nice.
And he's a real bro. Yeah, he's definitely an OG awesome. In the community, and we're gonna throw it back for 2 hours, and we're gonna talk about all the stuff that he remembers back in the day. So make sure that you are watching with us. He's actually in chat right now, and so make sure you come back and watch him next week, and we'll be able to state the time for you up on Twitter. Of course, for those people that are joining in late, we will have the replay as well as a highlight for you up on YouTube. The highlight's going to be around Friday. The replay will be sometime during the weekend. So for Matty Rage, for myself, Rob Roman, and the VRC DJ Live staff, this has been VRC DJ Live, and we will be seeing you next week.